views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, I'll keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try when...
Hello, this is Patty Hunter of Patty's Page. Today we have a special guest. His name is Avon Waters, and he is a painter, no less.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So
It's,
2017 was the last time I saw you now.
5 years.
Down at the library in the Studio A.
It was. We could be live back then.
Well, we're live now, but we're just recording.
Well, yeah, we could actually see one another speak without
So
COVID.
you are up to mischief, or what have you been doing?
Oh, wow. The last 5 years, it would take too long, but COVID makes me think that, gee, we just talked. It's like 2 lost years of my life, but lots of things happened.
So what happened during COVID? You couldn't
Oh.
go out and mix about and all that?
Right, started the Indiana Waterways Project. The COVID, I'm part of the Indiana Plein Air Painters Association, and there's about 300 in that group. And COVID made all of our outdoor get-togethers, because we would meet every weekend or every other weekend and paint together. And COVID said, can't do that anymore. So we would chat back and forth. And I had an idea with 4 other of my artist friends to start a project where we could go out and paint.
Mm.
And we started the Indiana Waterways. And we could go out and paint those on our own. We didn't have to meet at one place. So we just decided, hey, if COVID's going to be the way COVID's going to be, then let's just get together and once and kind of figure out this project. And that's what we did. We decided to paint 20 or 30 Indiana waterways over the next 18 months. That was
taken a lot of paint to do the waterways, eh?
Yeah, there's 65,000 miles of waterways in Indiana.
That's a lot of paint there, Guy.
Yeah, well.
What was your favorite spot in the waterways?
I think my favorite spot was something real close to my house, which was the 7 Pillars.
Oh.
They're for those that are listening that don't know what the 7 Pillars are, they're on the Mississinawa Reservoir.
Oh.
And they're over in Miami County. They are a sacred ground for the Miami Indian tribe. Matter of fact, across from, on one side of the river, is the Miami Indian private area. But it's a sacred area. It's limestone pillars carved long ago as the Mississinawa River made its way through the valley, through Miami County.
Is it burial?
No, it's there's this big wall of limestone on one side of the river that there are these pillars that are just, think of a straight limestone cliff with pillars carved in it.
And I'm showing this again. This upside down, of course. It's beautiful what you did for me when you were on my show in 2017. Lovely.
Thank you. That's
Ending in the wind.
Yeah. what we set out to do during COVID was just paint and kind of share with one another. Maybe when COVID ended, have an exhibition. But it turned into, as each month went along, people found out about it and got more interested. So pretty soon it became, all right, we'll make 100 paintings. Each of us will do 20. So there's 5 of us artists. Each of us will do 20. We'll pick the best 20 and show them around. And pretty soon it became a touring exhibition. It actually starts in October at the Indiana State Museum and goes from the Indiana State Museum October through December. Then
Where's that?
Then it moves to Fort Wayne.
Oh, so
It'll
it's in
be in-
Indianapolis, right?
It's in Indianapolis first, October through December. Then Fort Wayne, it'll be January through to the 1st of April. And then it's going to move to Muncie. The Miniaturista Center has an old Victorian mansion that sits and overlooks the White River. So they are trying to find a time slot. So sometime next summer, it will be in Muncie at that mansion overlooking the White River. Then the end of next year, November and December, it will end up in southern Indiana at the Indiana Hoosier Salon.
Wow, you're traveling, man. Are you going
Yeah.
with this this tour of your paintings, or?
Well, with the tour of the paintings, we have a book. As I said, it started out, hey guys, let's just paint some pictures and show them. And pretty soon conservationists got involved. So we started a book. It started out to be about 120 pages, but it's now at the printer and it's 227 pages. So
Is it real thick?
it's got some size. It has 100 paintings in it, and it has essays on water conservation by 3 Indiana environmental writers. And
Who are they, the environmental writers?
one of them is named. Oh, now you put me on a spot. I'll start with Jerry Sweeten. Jerry Sweeten's got a really, really neat essay. His is about a 20+ year, almost a lifetime adventure. And he set a goal to try to restore the Eel River. And so it's a story about the restoration of the Eel River. And it turns out that what he's done is a roadmap for anyone in any community, any person, any government could take what he's done and use it on any waterway anywhere in the Midwest and do the same thing and restore it. So that's a neat essay. Then Carson Gerber, he's a environmental journalist, and he researched what the Isaac Walton League, it's their 100th anniversary this year.
Is it? Happy birthday, I think.
And they gave us a grant to help do this. That's how we ended up like, oh man, this thing's getting bigger than just us guys going and showing a few pictures. So they gave us a grant to include conservation, because that's their mission, is conservation of waterways. And so he explores the history, the 100-year history of the Isaac Walton League, and how that organization has various programs that any one of us can join in. And they've got a Save Our Streams program.
How about Save Mommy?
Save Mommy. I'm not sure if that's the same thing, but it could be.
I think
they
they
could
are.
have
I think
that. There's a
relative.
Isaac Walton chapter up in Fort Wayne, so it could be that's one of their programs. But they've got salt monitoring. You know how we use road salts? Well, those things wash into all the ditches, and the ditches go to the tributaries, and the tributaries go to the streams, and the streams go to the rivers.
And the rivers get over salted.
over salted, and
And
it
the fish
hurts
die.
plants, it hurts fish. So there's a salt monitoring program. So he talks about that in his essay. And then we have a creative writer named Jason Goldsmith, and his essay is it's a creative nonfiction piece. So it reads like a novel. The adventures of someone kayaking and canoeing down the White River. And he talks about, how novelists will flash back to the past and then to the future and then the present. And he talks about all the different communities that have been affected by growth, by industrialization, the displacement of the Indian tribes along the White River, how minority communities have been affected by unfair zoning and projects that go on in cities.
Yeah.
So, and
That's
then
a
he
good
just
book.
talks about the wildlife and things that are that you would see if you went down canoeing down the White River. So
And
those are the essayists,
Yeah.
and all this is put in a book that will come out by the time the exhibit opens in Indianapolis.
So can you pre-order or whatever the word is?
Oh, yeah, we're taking reservations. It's a limited edition book. There's only 500 copies, and every one of them is going to be numbered and signed. You can pre-order on artnatureconsortium.org, but you can pre-order the book online, and it will come out after we get it all signed and ready by about the middle of October. That's when we'll ship out all the pre-orders.
Now, the pictures that you took today, where'd you go again? To Indianapolis or where?
Yes, each one of us artists, to raise funds for this event, we're working through the nonprofit Art Nature Consortium. We call it ANC for short because it's a mouthful.
Yeah.
We've had to fund this thing once we decided it was going to be more than just an exhibit, and we added a book. And so one of the fundraisers we have is auctioning off 25 paintings.
Wowzer.
So five paintings from each of us artists will be on auction. It'll be an online auction through Whitcliffe Auctions out of Carmel.
In Carmel. Can
And
you go there?
you can. It's got
person?
limited seating. You would have to make a reservation to be there for the in-person. But that's another thing COVID did. This auctioneer, he's been in business for years and years and years. And if there's an art collection that somebody has in an estate, he's always the one that auctions it off in Indiana. And so when COVID hit, he couldn't have people in. So these, just like we're talking on Zoom, these online auctions opened up.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's affiliated with 2 or 3 of those. So you just go to his website, sign up, and you can see it online. You can see all the items before the auction, but it's limited seating of about 30 people.
Spaced out every 6 feet or something.
Well, now they're not so spaced out, but
I'm spaced out right now.
But the point is that, he because he couldn't have live people, he was paying for this huge warehouse where people could be sitting. And so he moved into a smaller space, and he's just continued the online with limited live auction seating.
So the pictures that you've taken in, what are your favorite pictures that you have done that you're going to be auctioning off?
The ones we're auctioning off are not part of the Waterways Project. These are just fundraisers. My favorite picture is called Blazing Oaks. And it's almost a late evening scene by a river. And there's these 2 oaks. You know how oaks will get real red in the in the fall, and just a little bit of light just kind of lights them. It's almost like somebody hit them with a electronic photography flash
Oh,
at
that's cool.
nighttime and lit them up.
Is it like sunset with the orange sky or something?
The sky's got is almost dark, but these orange oaks are reflected in the water in front also.
How long did it take you to do that one, eh?
That one was off and on for quite a bit of time. It was scheduled to be one of the pieces I wanted in this exhibit, but it just wasn't right yet. And so I worked on it the last couple of months here and there, and it's now right. It's correct.
It's right.
It's right. There's no messing with it now.
Yeah, that's great.
Had it been right 2 months ago, then it would have been one of my favorite in the book. So that tells you that it's something special.
I bet it's beautiful. It's a very big.
Yes, it's framed. It's about 36 by 36.
3 feet by 3 feet.
Yeah, and it's a pastel, and that doesn't sound large, but for pastel, that's pretty big.
Do you have to spray it so it won't run, or?
No, you can't really put fixatives on pastel because it changes makes the darks too dark, and the lights don't go dark enough when you spray it. So they're under glass.
And it's a frame.
Framed and matted, yeah.
So, and the other ones that you're putting in to this auction thing?
Well, all the 100 paintings that are in the exhibit and in the book, when we finish at the Hoosier Salon next year, in spring 2024, Whitcliffe is going to auction all 100 pieces off. And my favorite, I've got two favorites in there, and one of them is called Moonlight Sonata, which is a stone arched bridge in moonlight. And so the moon is coming, kind of reflecting underneath the arches in the water, and it's really moody.
That's for autumn.
Yeah.
Spring. What?
It's kind of an autumn-ish. It was late summer when I did it. So, I think it was actually fall. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was full autumn, full on autumn.
Sounds like a full moon.
Yeah, full moon sort of thing.
Harvest?
It could have been a harvest moon, or it could have been a hunter's moon, one or the other.
Oy.
So,
My goodness.
then another nice piece is called the lemon lime or green lime tree screen. And a tree screen, for your listeners, is, here in the flat part of Indiana, you know how all these fields are, flat and go straight on and on. And then suddenly you'll run into a fence row that's got a bunch of trees in it. But the trees aren't very thick. You can see through the trees. The tree trunks just go up, and there's the top of the trees, the fence line, and the trunks. And there's all these fun little spaces where light comes through in different shapes between those trees.
Is this during like a morning or afternoon type of scene?
It's usually a morning or an afternoon, because you get the light coming through. And then because it's on a river, it's reflecting in the river. So you've got all these vertical and horizontal shapes, and you've got light and dark and all these. So we call those tree screens, because they're like the old Japanese screens that you would change clothes behind.
So do you have people in your paintings at all?
I usually don't. John Kelty does. That's why we had him come. He's from Fort Wayne. John Kelty is a watercolorist from up there, well known. And
he was on my show.
Yeah. And he does a lot of he does a lot of people and buildings. And so we thought, well, you know, some rivers can all start to look alike, but when John gets there, he paints bridges and their reflections and the reflections of the skylines of the city with the water. He's got kayakers, he's got fishermen and fisher people out there. So his paintings are completely opposite. Mine are usually just about nature, and his is about how we humans interact with nature.
Civilization.
Civilized nature, yes.
It sounds good. I mean, I bet there's a whole raft. Well, a raft, water, get it? A whole raft of paintings that are similar to each other but different.
Yes, and that's one of the goals we set out to do, is that, you know, we all ended up, hey, paint whatever you want to paint, but we want to end up with at least 20 different waterways.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we all got together and brought in our best paintings, I bet we painted almost 200 paintings, and we had to pick the best 100.
Oh.
And so, yeah, we all seem to have painted like the Ohio, the Wabash, and the White River, but every one of them is different. And because the rivers are so long, we picked different points of interest along the rivers. So that's what's neat. Is it?
Do you do where the three rivers join?
He did, I think, where there's a junction of at least two of them. Yeah. John Kelty did.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah, you'll be able to, he painted all of them, but again, we had to pick the best 100 out of the 200 that we did.
That must have been rough to pick out because they're all good. Excellent.
Yeah, as artists, we get kind of picky.
Mm-hmm.
And so we may have probably 90% of the 100, or I mean, of the 200, we could have put in an exhibition, and only discerning artists would be able to say, oh, this is better than that one, that sort of thing. I mean, it's not like, gee, there was only 100 good ones, but we all have our favorites. You know, if we painted 1,000 paintings, you know, we might have 10 favorites instead of 8.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's always the case. It's always the case.
And people are different. Some people don't like watercolor. Some people don't like pastel. We've got 3 oil painters. I am a pastelist, and John's a watercolorist. So you've got different mediums. You got different approaches. One artist, Dan, we got 2 brothers. We got Tom Woodson and Dan Woodson, and they're brothers from Muncie. And Dan started painting outdoors, and he was kind of the catalyst to start Indiana Plein Air Painters in 1997 with a similar project. He painted all 93 counties.
Oh.
And so he was kind of a natural, and we used his model for this project. And but he paints really, really tight, and what you might see in a museum that was painted 100 years ago.
Oh.
His brother then paints a little looser, meaning he doesn't try to paint the bark on the tree. He tries to make it appear as bark. He's a little more impressionistic. And then Kurt from over by Terre Haute area, he's actually from Rosedale. Kurt paints what they call alla prima, wet into wet. And so his are a little looser yet, very impressionistic.
And you?
Then watercolor is Kurt, and Kurt is looser yet because watercolor drips and runs. And then my pastels are almost abstract.
Abstract. I was just going to say, they look exquisite.
So we go from tight to loose.
I won't say anything to that one. Mhm.
There's a little variety, a little something there for everybody.
Yeah, we're getting towards the end of our wee show.
Oh, boy, time is flowing.
Unless you want to do a two-parter.
Well, you know, once the show starts, we could probably
Go on.
figure out something for you.
This is wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me.
I
I
should have
really
you back on
appreciate you.
again. I want to see those wee pictures of yours and that's going to be auctioned off and all that. You could talk
Okay.
about it later sometime, eh?
All right. All right.
Thank you.
Well, keep in touch, and again, a pleasure. And I hope your audience stay tuned for all this. And
Yes. They
gets
do love your
interested.
paintings.
Thank you very much.
This is Patty Hunter, Patty's Page. Thank you, Avon Waters, for coming on to my show. You are a sweet guy, and we love your paintings. So we'll see you next week, God willing. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks a lot.